I want you to get in the Wayback Machine. I want you to get in the Wayback Machine with me and go back to the year 2012. In that year, the Republicans are on the cusp of taking the United States Senate. The Senate Democrats have a 51-seat hold. The Republicans have a 47-seat hold. Everyone expects the Republicans to take the Senate. They are looking at gains in North Dakota, in Missouri, in Indiana, and in Florida. They have some compelling candidates throughout. The Democrats know they could be on the cusp of losing. Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, working with several Democrats, begin to pour resources into races where they think they can shape the field for the GOP. In Missouri, they become convinced through their polling that they could keep Claire McCaskill in the Senate if they could make sure Todd Akin were the Republican nominee. In Indiana, the Republicans hold the seat. Dick Lugar is the seat. Richard Murdoch becomes the Republican nominee, and the Democrats are convinced that if they can get Murdoch as the nominee, they will win. In Florida, the Republicans go with Connie Mack IV. Again, you have situations where the Democrats, it's a 51-47 Senate. Harry Reid is the majority leader, Mitch McConnell the minority leader. And in Missouri, the Democrats begin to run a ton of ads attacking Todd Akin from the left in the Republican primary. And Todd Akin seizes on those and says, see, the Democrats, they must fear me. They must want me. They must be scared of me. They're already attacking me. I'm not even the Republican nominee. Clearly, I'm the one they're scared of. They do it in Indiana as well with Richard Murdoch. And Republican voters took the bait. They nominated Richard Murdoch in Indiana. They nominated Todd Akin in Missouri, and it turned out they weren't great candidates. Todd Akin very famously went on a riff about abortion that blew up in his face. Claire McCaskill was able to seize on that, and it became a disaster. Having attacked Todd Akin in the primary as too conservative, the conservatives went for him. He made some unfortunate statements about abortion, and Claire McCaskill pulled off a 54% win. In Indiana, I actually backed Richard Murdoch. I thought he would be a good candidate. He had defeated he defeated Dick Lugar in a primary. He ran to Lugar's right. Lugar was against the Tea Party. He voted to confirm Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. He supported the DREAM Act. He supported some gun control. And conservatives, myself included, we rallied to Richard Murdoch. And then Democrats poured some money in as well to push him over the finish line and finish off Lugar. Murdoch then made some statements about rape and abortion that the Democrats and the national media exploded. Working in tandem, the Democrats and the national media just totally exploited him. Murdoch's quote is, "I know there are some who disagree, and I respect their point of view, but I believe that life begins at conception. The only exception I have to have an abortion is in the case of the life of the mother. I just struggled with it myself for a long time and came to realize life is that gift from God that I think even if life begins in the horrible situation of rape, That is something that God intended to happen. It was the intended to happen part. It was portrayed by the Democrats and the media as God intended you to be raped. It was poorly worded statement exploited by the media on behalf of the Democrats, and Joe Donnelly won. In a 51-47 Senate, it flipped that seat to the Democrats. Claire McCaskill held on in Missouri. And in Florida, Connie Mack IV, a congressman, just flamed out. Flamed out. Obama won Florida by only 74,000 votes. Bill Nelson, the incumbent Democrat, just blew Connie Mack IV out of the water. Candidate selection matters. The Senate should have gone to the GOP. And in large part because of, and I was complicit, I'll acknowledge I was complicit in Indiana, back in the conservative against Richard Lugar. We wound up with someone to the left of Lugar and Joe Donnelly. The Senate, which was 51-47 before the November 2012 election, became 53-45. 53-45, giving Harry Reid enough cushion that he could scrap the filibuster for nominees. It was not until after the 2012 election where Harry Reid had a cushion. Right now it's 50-50. That gave Harry Reid a cushion, and he could scrap the filibuster. Because he had 2 votes, really 3, with Joe Biden if he cast a tie vote, but he got enough votes. He was able to scrap the filibuster because Republicans gave him a cushion. The voters of Missouri went with Todd Akin, who just was a disaster in the general election. In Indiana, Republicans had rallied to Richard Murdoch against Dick Lugar, and his statement was just exploited by the media. He was not on his A game. He was a great candidate and a good dude and a fantastic conservative. He was not on his A game. The Democrats ran an abortion-centric campaign and scared voters. They portrayed these two guys, Akin and Murdoch, as hyper-extremists. And it was the suburban voters who couldn't pull the trigger. The year is 2022. The Senate is 50-50. If the Democrats gain seats in the United States Senate, they will get rid of the filibuster. They will try to make the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico states to ensure the GOP can't ever get back to the majority and pass a whole bunch of stuff. It's all dependent on, though, the Republicans not gaining the House. I actually think the Republicans will gain the House, and it'll forestall any effort to get rid of the filibuster. There won't be a point. But what if they don't? The Republicans need to win Arizona and Georgia to take back the United States Senate. In Georgia, Herschel Walker, a legend in the state, a University of Georgia football player who went into the NFL, moved to Texas. Yesterday, he moved back to Georgia. Plans to file his paperwork to run for the United States Senate. A gregarious person who has been on this program, Herschel Walker has multiple personality disorder. Herschel Walker openly talked about one time getting a gun, attempting to kill him, wanting to kill a man. Thankfully, Jesus changed his heart. I don't know a Republican consultant in Georgia or Washington who is any good, who has a serious win record, who believes Herschel Walker can be beaten in the primary. I don't know a single Republican consultant who thinks he can beat Raphael Warnock. That takes Georgia off the table and keeps Chuck Schumer as leader in the Senate. I think Herschel Walker could do it. I think he possibly could. I think he could because I think a wave is building for the GOP. Joe Biden has declined 8 points for the first time in his presidency. His popularity is underwater. He's more unpopular than popular. Kamala Harris is the most unpopular politician in America right now, which is staggering. There's crime rampant in the Atlanta suburbs. Raphael Warnock has refused to help get people out of Afghanistan. He's had people in Georgia, John King, the insurance commissioner, a major general in the National Guard, trying to get people out of Afghanistan, trying to get the daughters of colleagues out of Afghanistan. Warnock and Ossoff in Georgia, the two senators, Democrats, have been no help. He's had to rely on Tom Cotton of Arkansas to help get people out of Afghanistan. Warnock has supported major progressive legislation. He supported ending the filibuster in the Senate, something most Georgians are opposed to. He supports tax increases, something most Georgians are opposed to. A wave year could get Herschel Walker in. 2012 was a wave year for the Republicans. 2012 was a wave year. They lost the presidency and the Senate, and they made gains in the U.S. House. They made gains in governor's mansions. They made gains at the state legislative level. But the candidates mattered. And Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch flailed around and cost the Republicans a Senate majority. And Harry Reid scrapped the filibuster for nominations and began packing courts for Barack Obama. The question for the nation, and in particular for those of you in Georgia who are listening to the program, is, are you going to take a chance on a man who is self-declared, self-admitted multiple personality disorder because of his name ID? That's the question you must ask. Will he be a candidate? This is a state that Donald Trump lost. It wasn't stolen from him. I'm getting emails from people still very adamant it was stolen from him because, don't you know, Kelly Loeffler and David votes than Donald Trump, and so that was proof he won. You know what? In 2016, the Republican nominee for the United States Senate, then Johnny Isakson in Georgia, got more than 1 million votes than Donald Trump in Georgia. A lot of people voted for Joe Biden and then voted for the Republican senators. In fact, there was a 6-point swing in the runoff to the Republicans with Donald Trump not on the ballot. But it wasn't enough to offset the 427,205 Republicans who said, it's going to be stolen anyway. I'm not going to go vote. The Republicans lost. Georgia went to Joe Biden fair and square. I know that hurts some of you. I know it pains you to have to believe it. I know many of you won't believe it, but it's the truth. This is a state that went to Joe Biden in large part because the suburbs wanted nothing to do with Donald Trump. Will they want something to do with Herschel Walker, who many of them are new to Georgia, well past the time he lived in Georgia? Will they want to vote for a guy they have no familiarity with, they don't care about, and he's got multiple personality disorder? I will tell you, it'll make for a heck of a debate. Mr. Walker, you carried a gun with you and wanted to kill a man. You admitted it in your book. Mr. Warnock, you're a reverend and you ran over your wife. Be a heck of a debate between the two of them. Do you want to take the chance? The Senate is 50-50. Do you want to take the chance? If you do, okay, listen. I'm laying it all out on the table for you because it's something you got to think about. If Herschel Walker is the nominee, Republicans will rally. The question is, what will the independents in the suburbs do? That's the problem. You can't win this with just Republicans alone. You've got to give independent voters a comfortable choice. And I don't know if it's a comfortable choice for them to vote for someone who has self-admitted mental health problems. God bless him for admitting them. God bless him for dealing with it. God bless him for raising exposure to it. But you and I both know darn well Raphael Warnock and Stacey Abrams will exploit that to the hilt, trying to provoke Herschel Walker into a reaction before cameras. He will be followed everywhere in Georgia with cameras. They will do their best with the help of the media to defame him. Now, they'll do it to all of the Republicans. But I would submit they have a better chance of doing it against someone who has well-known, documented mental health problems. That's not to knock him. That's the reality. And we've got to be realists here headed into 2022 because the Democrats sure as heck are going to be realists about how they defeat him. They are going to be ruthless. Now, knowing all of that, can Walker win? Yes. Yes, Walker can win. Walker can win. There's a crime wave in Georgia. The Democrats have gone nuts. Raphael Warnock has sided with the protesters, refused to help in Afghanistan. The Democrats look weak. They've caved to protesters. They've caved to Antifa. They've caved to Black Lives Matter. They've caved to criminals. They've caved to the Taliban. Herschel Walker won't cave. Herschel Walker will be strong. Herschel Walker will be bold. Herschel Walker will be dynamic. He won't be bullied, unlike Warnock. There's a message for him to have. All I'm saying is, remember the lessons of 2012 and think very carefully as you proceed.